Hello and welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Today we're going to talk about remodeling, not as in remodeling your physical house, but as in remodeling your financial house and retirement remodeling. And with us right now we have Ron Stoltzbach. You are an investment advisor representative. You are also the president of Concise Financial Advisement. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me here today.
This is an important topic, isn't it? Because things are changing.
It's very timely that I was able to come on here today. In the past, retirement for most folks consisted of a combination of their Social Security, which is a benefit that you receive from the government for your wages that you've earned over the lifetime, and then you could possibly also receive a pension from an ex-employer that gave you a defined benefit every month for the rest of your life. And typically, in the past, that age group was pretty conservative and didn't have a lot of debt, so a lot of times they could live on those two elements of fixed income. Mm-hmm. Today, with corporations changing their benefit structures, asking a lot of older employees to maybe take early retirement packages, and the health insurance changes imposed by the government, pension plans are more or less going by the wayside more and more all the time. So today's retirement solution is more of Social Security and income from any investments that you may have accumulated over time, which would be your own personal savings, retirement accounts, etc.
Would you say we have to be more proactive individually?
I think it's always been important, but I think more than ever, people need to be very sober to the fact that a large leg of their retirement income is going to come from retirement savings. So compounding interest, staying invested over time, and having an investment schedule every month as part of your normal budget is going to be key to having some control in retirement.
So what do we really need to look at? Interest growth, interest income.
It's not a new concept. You know, interest compounds, but investment markets do not go straight up, and interest rate environments change. Like currently we're in a very low interest rate environment, so fixed income vehicles are very challenging for conservative folks or seniors to put money into safer things that maybe have guarantees. It doesn't bear the interest that it used to. But regardless of whatever you're investing in, the power of compounding interest is your friend, and the longer you stay invested, ultimately will give you the most compounding effect on your account.
So when do you start doing this?
There's two worlds, the ideal world and the real world. In the ideal world, someone should, you know, in your teenage years grab you and always teach you that a portion of your earnings should probably be set aside into some type of interest-bearing account. But in the real world, most folks get into a career path, early 20s, maybe even late 20s, early 30s, and they get into their career where they're earning a decent living. And they have the option to do like a payroll deduction pre-tax into a 401k. But then again, with benefit packages changing at certain employers, sometimes right now, not all employers actually offer a retirement account, so you have to go pursue your own and start some type of engineered savings plan.
Yeah. So really, it's customized to each individual because we are different with different needs, different attitudes, risk, what we see our future. So we put together, and that's what you do, you put together individual plans and help people that way, correct?
Yeah, it's not a template. In the past, if you were just going to get a pension and Social Security, it was pretty simple. But now, since the investment leg aspect is more on the responsibility of the employee/investor to accumulate income that will go along with Social Security, not everyone has the same situation. And depending on your income level, you may not be eligible to contribute to some types of retirement accounts. You may have too much income in your household. You may be, it's possible that you could over-contribute if you don't understand the contribution rules. Some of the accounts you can't get your money back without a penalty once you put it in. Some people don't understand also that there's advantages if you put money in certain types of retirement accounts. You can get some money back for certain circumstances, like a first-time home purchase or some other situations that may benefit them. So what I like to do at Concise Financial Advisement is take a look at someone's total picture from a comprehensive view and get them involved in a habit based on their personal situation, how much realistically out of their budget they can put away, and then try to incrementally get them to increase that over time, maybe as their wages increase. But I think what's key is to keep a person on a path for retirement savings, is to give a projection / assumption of what that account could be worth over time, 15, 25, 30 years from now, with a very low assumed interest rate of compounding that interest. And I think when people see the end game, they're more apt to stay on path when it's not convenient to contribute, when it becomes something else comes up that they would rather purchase rather than, or the investment markets get murky. It keeps them on path if we periodically review the end game.
Okay. You have 20 years experience doing
correct.
what you're doing. And knowing you, I know how passionate you are about this. What got you into this, and why is this so important to you to do what you do?
You're correct. I'm an all-in person, sometimes at my own detriment because I don't rest a lot. But I grew up here in Lancaster. I went to McCaskey. I played sports, and I think sports is the underlying element that taught me that if you want anything, you have to earn it. And when I was about 24 years old, almost 25, a person in this industry pulled me aside and said that because of my work ethic and the fact of how much I like and care about people, he felt that I would do well in this industry. And of course, you know, when you get into something where you have to build your own business, it's intimidating. But at that point, I didn't have a family, and I thought, well, I'd like to try it. And I like the feedback that I get from people when I can show them verifiably that I've helped them and that I help them sidestep speed bumps that come up. It's not all just numbers. This is a people business. This is about getting together, you know, 3-4 times a year at a minimum and talking about what's changed in their life. And it's not so much the money, it's helping them achieve the things that they want to do. The money is just a vehicle to do that. And that's what drives me, is putting the puzzle pieces together to help people be successful.
And it sounds like relationships are important to you too, because this is a very intimate topic when you get together with someone, when you talk about their finances. So there has to be this understanding and this trust with the person that you're working with, right?
Well, from being in the industry a while, some folks in my business are all business with not much personal relationship with the client. It's about the bottom line. And then there's some folks in my business who operate more on a personal level. And you know, depending on what you're looking for from an advisor dictates which type of an advisor you'd like to work with. I personally fall on the side of having a relationship with the person, because I don't think that you can accurately get a picture of everything that's driving a client unless they trust you. And the only way they trust you is transparency. Most of my clients know my family. I have cookouts. I'm aware of their personal hobbies and their benchmarks they look to achieve in their businesses and their personal lives, and as well as major milestones in their lives, anniversaries, birthdays. That's all relevant to having a relationship with someone. I don't think you have a relationship just by being the name on the statement.
No, you don't. We're going to put the website up on the screen. What are we going to find there, Ron?
I want my clients to lean on me for information, calculations. I think that should be done in person at a minimum. I don't believe they should go to my website and just be provided a whole bunch of calculators, and I think a value should come from me. But on my website, you will find a landing page about Concise Financial Advisement, where the location is, and then there's a small profile about myself, about what I like to do in my spare time, and again, the passion towards my business. The advisement that I got when constructing the website was to make it who Ron is, not. So there's not a lot there as far as, you know, calculators and projections and financial markets. That's, like I said, that should all come from me. So it's a landing page where to find me and kind of get a quick synopsis of what I'm about.
And that's how they can also contact you. How can they get a hold of you, Ron?
Email is on there. My website will give them an email. It will give them a map to my office. It will give them a phone number. I'm open to any medium of contact.
Okay, that sounds really good. We've got some things we want to talk about, like what a retirement plan looks like, and questions about Social Security, the stock market, and also what fires you up. And I think we know that answer too, but we've got a lot more coming, so stay with us. Welcome back to Behind the Lines. We're talking about remodeling retirement income, and we are with Ron Sulzbach. If you're just joining us, he is an investment advisor representative, also president of Concise Financial Advisement. What does a retirement plan look like? It is a combination. You were saying what are some realistic and other assumptions and that certain things.
Well, in our industry, managing someone's retirement account is one aspect. That's an investment management process. But that's not retirement planning. That's managing an asset. And I believe you take a holistic approach on top of managing that asset. I think it's important to flesh out for a client, what all is this going to do for me? And again, that makes them more patient during volatile times in the economy when they see an end game, which I alluded to earlier. Mm-hmm. What does a retirement plan advisement look like with a customer? We sit down, we take an inventory. What's everything you have as far as investable assets, any income streams that would be guaranteed to you, Social Security projections if you took them at different ages. We make some projections and very moderate to conservative assumptions with interest rate. Example, take your lump sum assets that you have now, project them out over a period of years of when you assumptively may retire at a growth rate of maybe 5 or 6% and see what lump sum that would create. And then in return, how much income would that lump sum of an asset yield you to supplement your Social Security and any pensions if you're lucky to have them. There's also a taxation aspect. Different types of retirement accounts have different tax statuses. So depending on your age when you start to pull income from the asset or take out a chunk for a major expenditure, they are all taxed differently. So depending if it was Roth IRA assets or if it was traditional IRA or if it's still in the status of a 401k or a 403b, it's taxed differently for you. Also critical to determine life expectancy, and that's not possible to predict accurately. But delving into health questions, a lot of times when I meet with a client and I start asking some health questions, they look at me oddly, like, why does that factor? Well, because it goes into the assumption of how long you may need to derive income from your investments, and if your life expectancy is longer, you may want to ration out the income longer with maybe smaller amounts on a monthly basis. Right. And if your life expectancy tends to be shorter in your genetic side, then you may be able to take larger chunks earlier in life. And our industry did some work, and they found that during the first few years of retirement, people actually spend more money, and then as they become more mature in the retirement and they're not doing as much physically, not as much traveling, for example, then the spending starts to decline. So I don't think it's something that's purely definable and in concrete. I think there's where the relationship comes in, that sitting down multiple times a year and analyzing the income plan and what's necessary, and not only what's necessary, but what do they want? You should enjoy life. You should enjoy retirement. And retirement is not what it used to be. Retirement used to be you stop doing things. Now today, you know, you have to factor in sometimes people start a second career.
Sure.
Retirement could be as long as 25, 30 years, and that could be as long as some folks' work cycle.
Right.
So it goes back to the relationship, always updating what's going on, and then of course people have divorce, remarriage, grandchildren come into the picture, adult children come back home. They could change the expenditures on a monthly basis. And then you also have to factor in a death of a particular person or spouse and how it would affect the other person or the children, which is the estate aspect of things. For example, if a person retires from a major corporation and does have a pension, and they have chosen the single life pension, and he or she passes away, the payment may not continue to the spouse.
Okay.
And that goes into retirement planning, which is when someone, you should really start 5 to 7 years before you actually retire, getting a picture of what this may look like. And that's why sometimes when folks reach out to me and they say, hey, I'm retiring tomorrow, I always wonder in the back of my mind, did you already check the box on some things that maybe we should have discussed?
Right, right. The outlook on Social Security.
Well, it's an old concept. Some folks scowl when they find out how much they're actually going to get from Social Security. But in reality, it's a pretty good program. And why, in its current form, we have no reason to believe that it wouldn't continue. But in the future, that's a variable. We can't say for sure what, you know, the IRS system or the government system is going to do with that program. It's just not definable. The only thing you can do is factor it in your plan and also run your plan without factoring it in and see the difference between the two. It's actually rule of thumb in our industry. The certified public accountant industry years ago defined roughly 4% is the annual rate of withdrawal from a lump sum asset that a retiree should pull from their lump sum. For example, if someone has a $200,000 retirement asset, they should be limited to about $8,000 a year of income from that asset, pre-tax, if it's a taxable asset like an IRA or a 401k. And then they have a very high probability that they won't run out of money till their late 80s. People are living longer, though. And the Social Security system actually yields a bigger payment than that assumptive metric that I just used, and it goes on for life. And then if you pass away, sometimes there's residual benefits to a spouse. So regarding the Social Security, one of the things that I like to do with my clients is when we go down the road of getting that portion of their plan in order, figuring out what the payments would be at certain ages, 62, 65, 66, whatever the full retirement age is actually going to the local Social Security office and getting that information in hard copy and then bringing that back and implementing it with the plan.
Yeah. Should we worry about the stock market?
Well, history tells us that 7 out of 10 years, the stock market increases. Nothing goes straight up. If that was the case, we wouldn't have to worry, or whatever the word you used was worry, or be concerned. I think the issue is how your investments are allocated prior, in the immediate cycle before you actually start to take income. The economic cycle that you're in closest to your retirement date. Because if you're invested more aggressively and the economy corrects, the stock market makes a correction, you could go backwards in the value of your account. Now granted, over time, the stock market recovers and trudges on. But that doesn't help you if you take an immediate loss in your account when you're ready to start taking a defined income from it. So it's critical to get a personally tailored asset allocation based on how far you are away from retirement in years. And you know, how long you need to take income, and is this asset going to be a major component of your income? An example, if you don't have a pension to go along with Social Security.
Okay. All right.
Not sure worry as much as plan.
Plan. Okay. We use that word. What fires you up, Ron?
I get up every day and I know I'm responsible for the outcome directly and indirectly for a lot of people. And I have to be positive in nature. And like I said, I feed off my clients. I grew personally over 20 years by learning from my clients' life experiences, you know, the changes that occurred in their life, the decisions that they made, good, bad, and indifferent. And we're not promised tomorrow. And that factors into the way I deal with clients as well, because, you know, I'll give you an example. Younger investors, at times, I speak with them about living in today, which they like to do in general, and I did as well in my 20s. You didn't even think about retirement.
Sure.
For example, getting a tax return. You know, for a lot of folks, it's a well-deserved benefit that they get in the springtime every year. But I talk to clients and I say, you know, if you're new in the savings arena and you get back $500, maybe consider some for now and some for later. For example, put $250 into your retirement account or another savings vehicle and use $250. But then I like to show it and run the $250 in their calculation and show what it does for them in the end game. I keep going back to the end game. And that's what drives me. Not getting clients to retirement, I'm driven to get them through retirement.
Right. And that's what it's all about. We're going to put the website up on the screen once again. That's how you can contact Ron and find out more information. We're going to take a brief pause, then we've got some final thoughts. Stay with us. We've been talking about retirement, investments, end game with Ron Stolzbach. What can you leave us with, Ron? What do you want us to remember and know?
After being in the business 20 years, a couple years ago, I had a driving ambition to be an independent advisor. And what that allowed me to do is represent a brand that I created, attract the type of client that I wanted to attract. And they wanted to work with me based on the value I add, not the name of my company. But obviously I had to establish a name. So I liked Concise Financial because I feel as though that sums me up. I like to verify information, and I'm very direct. And that's a communication skill. So I called it Concise Financial Advisement. I guess what I want folks to take away from here is that having an investment account or a retirement account is not a plan. It's an asset. It's important to develop a plan. It's important to share changes in that plan. And I guess the type of client that is attracted to me typically is someone who has a retirement account from a previous employer, maybe looking over to roll a 401k over, or has an IRA with a previous advisor. Maybe they're not getting the service they're looking for.
Thank you so much. We'll put the website on the screen. You can find out more from Ron. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines, and remember, keep looking behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.